I just can't tell you how many times people in my neighborhood have come up to say, why are we not able to have access to these jobs taking place right in front of us? Why are we watching people drive to the construction sites with license plates from New Jersey, from Florida, from wherever, and we are right here in the neighborhood and we are ready to work. We are willing to work.
The goal of this bill is to make people think about, when we're spending money as a city, who are the workers doing that work?
State law has not been on our side for too long. In many ways, it actually makes it harder to hire people from the community on city-funded projects. It's time for us to right that wrong. And that's what we're calling for in this legislation. And that is that all contractors and all businesses working with the city hire New Yorkers from highest poverty neighborhoods and from public housing.
We have some 9 NYCHA developments in the community.
In my district, I have 5 public housing developments that are NYCHA.
I have 17 NYCHA developments in my community.
We must fundamentally shift and align systems, investments, and decision-making processes that fuel our economy towards a talent-driven economic development model that recognizes workers and human capital as the primary pillar and creator of prosperity growing within our communities.
New York City is the most unionized city in the country and the most well-positioned city to offer these opportunities.
We see the difference that a good union job makes every day, not just for our members, but for their families and the communities in which they live.
Last year, I was able to set aside some funding for a pre-apprenticeship program for the Pathways to Apprenticeship, and we were able to have the first pre-apprenticeship program in Coney Island.
The nonprofit workforce development community is already poised to tap into those communities further and provide that access that those communities need.
Being in the apprenticeship program, teaches you a bunch of things, but I think one of the main things it teaches you is how to be a productive member of society. Our diplomas don't hang on a wall. Our diplomas are when we're driving over the bridge and saying that I painted that. I still do it to this day, walking up and down the street. I worked there. I did that, and that's a sense of pride that I believe that every young person of color needs to have and should have, that opportunity.
We want to be a part of finding solutions and providing opportunities so that all New Yorkers can come up.
Workers who have been excluded for so long are all thought about, focused on in this piece of legislation, which is why it's just going to be so game-changing.
The time is long overdue for us to encounter and engage in these projects in a meaningful way with a framework for real community hiring. And having the partnership of labor and the city, really makes a difference in us being able to really move the needle on local hiring and making sure that, the long-term benefits of our community's development is something that we participate in now and in the future.
I am going to be there on day one of fighting for this piece of legislation in the Assembly, rigorously defending it.
I'm looking forward on our side, on the legislature side, to seeing how we could push and support our colleagues in the city council who are going to be fighting for this legislation and making sure that we're spending it in a way that's equitable.
We have to have vision around this bill. This is the first step. When we talk about green and clean energy, those jobs are coming up. Everyone says, people of color have been most affected by climate change. Well, these jobs, who's building those jobs? Who's building the offshore wind? Who's putting in the solar panels? Once we get them in the union, they're in the union. So now as those job opportunities come, we can give them this work.
We should never lose a generation of young people again. And we're going to make sure that our children have opportunity, even if some of our brothers and sisters and others who fell off along the way did not.
This is a major enabling opportunity that will enable us to hardwire what we know are the future opportunities for job growth in New York City, in the neighborhoods and communities that have been most devastated by COVID-19 and that have been historically most left behind.
I commend the unions. I commend the civic association. I commend the worker organizations, all of us that are putting our shoulders to the wheel of history to move it forward. I'm with you. God bless us all, and let's get some justice.